Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show. John Henry Soto here with you as always. It is March 26, 2026. How about that? It's 7 a.m. here in Nashville, Tennessee. I hope you're all doing well. This is a live morning space for artists, filmmakers, and musicians and creators who are navigating the real world of making art. On this show, we talk about positivity, but not the fluffy kind. We talk about what actually stops artists from moving forward, the struggles we all face, and how to move through them with clarity and purpose. We'll also highlight good things happening in the industry, share ideas, suggestions, and practical advice, but most importantly, have honest conversations. This is a live show, so if you're here, feel free to ask questions or join in. This is a place to reset, get grounded, and start the day moving forward as an artist. And welcome, everyone. I hope you're all doing well out there. It is Thursday here in Nashville, and tomorrow's Friday. And we're going to have a nice day today, actually. It's been a weird week. We had like really cold temperatures in the week, early week, and then it went up to 80. Today's going to be like 80 something degrees. So, very interesting stuff going on weather wise. I hate talking about the weather. Why do I keep doing that? I don't know why I talk about the weather. I don't care. Okay. Sorry, I had to go there. So we're going to talk about this is an interesting thing that's happening. Some of you have heard of it if you're in this space. So Val Kilmer, who passed away last year, is making a comeback using AI. And the story of Val Kilmer returning to the screen after his passing feels almost like something out of one of his own films. It does feel surreal, emotional, and a little bit controversial, as usual, like his films tend to do sometimes. In the upcoming movie, As Deep as the Grave, Kilmer's estate and family have approved the use of his likeness through advanced generative AI, allowing him to complete a role he had originally signed on to before his death in 2025. What's especially meaningful here is that this wasn't a random recreation. It's a role that mattered to him personally, and his children were directly involved in helping bring that performance to life. In many ways, it's being framed as not as exploitation, but as fulfillment, finishing a story he wanted to tell. So this kind of changes it up a little bit, right? Because it's something that he wanted himself. I think the respect that AI and a person's likeness um, the industry has to have is basically, does the individual want his likeness used? As we can see right now, what's happening with AI in general um, has been any likeness of any celebrity has been taken and being used with AI right now, right? And what's happening right now is a lot of lawsuits are coming in because you look at the estates of, like, for example, I'll give you an example. There was a video that I saw. This was a while back, and it was Mr. Rogers, who I love. Some of you know that I'm a big Mr. Rogers fan. I grew up with that, watching that as a kid, and then I got my kids watching it as well. Mr. Rogers fighting Jimi Hendrix, right? The greatest influence in guitar ever. And they were fighting. It was like some wrestling match or something, or some. And I just kind of thought, well, that's using the likeness of these two very, very famous people without really their consent. I don't think that the Mr. Rogers estate gave that permission. So because of that, I'm going to read a little bit of something that I got here from, I don't know if y'all listen to the dailies, but you should sign up for the dailies. It's actually free. You get details on it, um, and it's a good thing. Let me see here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so this is about AI is pulling the plug on its Sora video app. Remember Sora? That was like a major, major big thing. So OpenAI announced yesterday that the company is shutting down the TikTok style consumer app it launched last fall, where users could generate and share short AI video clips in a vertical feed. AI is also cutting off video tools for developers and removing video features from ChatGPT. In 6 months, Sora topped the App Store, sparked a copyright firestorm, landed a 1 billion Disney deal, and got killed. Why did they pull the plug? It's almost always because of money. AI is projecting 14 billion in losses this year and doesn't expect to turn a profit until 2029, 2030. Running a consumer video app while burning cash at that rate just doesn't add up, especially one where the novelty wore off fast. Exactly. I said this, man. If you go back to my episodes on AI, you go back, and I'm talking about going back like to some episodes I did last year about AI. You'll see that I said this. I said this is gonna wear off. This is gonna die up. This is gonna be boring after a while. People are gonna look at this and be like, "Oh, okay, that's AI." That's very, very funny because they didn't know how to use it properly. They didn't know how to roll it out, And so this is what's happening now. So now, especially one that the novelty wore off, and all that was left was AI slop of Mr. Rogers doing karate and cops arresting a sentient waffle. It's funny. I didn't even know that they were going to mention Mr. Rogers in here before I read this. I just read this is from the dailies, but I had just mentioned Mr. Rogers, right? So yeah, exactly. So the company is pivoting toward productivity tools ahead of the potential. There's some other stuff that I won't go into. It's a little bit more technical, boring stuff. But you can find out about that if you get the dailies. Sign up for the dailies. It's thedailies.com. I think I have the site here if anybody's interested. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And here it is. Boom. Readthedailies.com. Get yourself a subscription there. It's free. You get all the latest on what's happening in the film industry. If you're into film, if you love movies, if you love the industry or what's happening in front of the camera and behind the camera, sign up for readthedailies.com. All right, let's get back to our story here with Val Kilmer. So, at the same time, this moment represents a massive shift in how we think about performance, legacy, and even mortality in filmmaking. AI is now capable of reconstructing an actor's face, voice, and presence using archives of footage, photos, and recordings gathered over a lifetime. So you have to also understand that AI can only use what's put into it, right? So if you have an actor that hasn't really done a lot, then there's less stuff to draw from. But if you have an actor that's been around, I mean, let's pick an actor like Al Pacino. Al Pacino's got footage of him when he was like uh, uh in his early 20s, like 19 years old. There's footage of him in a film, and now he's 80 in his 80s. There's a big body of work there, and there's a lot of actors like that right now, especially some of these younger actors that came up in the 80s. There's just a lot of information on them that's online, a lot of film, a lot of work. So you can draw a lot of information from these guys just based on that information. AI can coordinate it, you know. So for filmmakers, especially independent ones, this opens the door that were previously unimaginable, reviving unfinished performances, preserving iconic actors, or even allowing stories to span generations in ways that was never technically possible before. It's not just a creative tool, it's becoming part of storytelling language itself. So this is interesting, right? Because imagine taking an actor, you can have an actor be in a series now for to look exactly the same forever, and the show can just keep going. And then new writers will come in and the show will go away, and then they would die off, and then new writers and new prompters will come in and write prompters. I did a whole show on prompters. Is it art to be a prompter? Is it artistic? I don't know. There's a whole show you can check out that I did some interesting stuff on there. But with that power comes real tension. So what's happening right now, as we all know, Fran Drescher, who's the president of SAG-AFTRA, they're protesting this right now. There's a big uproar going on because actors that don't have that type of stature and don't have that type of protection can be used, they can take their likenesses. So when you sign a contract with an agency, when you sign a contract with an organization, they can take your likeness and use it. Sometimes these contracts say they can use it over and over again as much as they want, and you've been paid once, and that is it. You won't get paid again. So you have to really start looking at the dotted line when you're signing a contract. Okay. Uh, and what you're seeing playing, okay, industry groups like SAG-AFTRA have made it clear that digital replicas must be used transparently and with proper authorization, highlighting concerns about consent, control, and ownership of a person's identity after death. Critics and audiences are also split. Some see it as a beautiful tribute, while others find it unsettling, even creepy, raising deeper questions about whether a performance created by AI can truly be considered acting at all. Well, it's not acting at all. It's acted. It's taking stuff he's already done, right, and then putting in. So it's not a new acting. I think this is I wanted to talk about this one because this is where the emotional part of it is really challenging, right? It's it challenges the emotional contract we've all had with cinema, that we're watching that what we're watching is a human being in motion. This is how it started, right? It started with humans being in front of the camera. And I feel that because of this technology right now, we have to start thinking differently about what cinema means in the future. What does storytelling mean in the future? Because that's the bottom line. We're talking. SAG-AFTRA is fighting for humans, fighting for human souls that are artistic, humans that are can create, that have studied very hard and can create characters on screen, physically using their bodies. Right. That is now becoming. That is another thing now. Now we have another part of cinema where it is part where it's not real, where this Val Kilmer story is a perfect example. This Val Kilmer story is very, very interesting. It's monumental, and we're going to be talking about it for years and years and years because it's the first one where an actor and his family have given the rights after the actor's death to complete a project that he was signed on for. There's an emotional attachment to this project that it's going to be different than what SAG-AFTRA is fighting for. I feel this is the estate, Val Kilmer's estate, have given the okay, the approval of using his likeness. So now what you have to do is, as an actor, you have to now protect your likeness. You have to now find a lawyer and get everything in writing on your likeness. And when you're signing for a project and you're signing on that dotted line, make sure that you're not turning over your likeness for use for that organization, for that production house to use your likeness forever. Make sure you're not signing the wrong thing. So contracts now have to be looked at very, very carefully because of this, because it's moving very fast. 2 years ago, we would not have been having this discussion. Yeah, we were talking about AI, but not the way we're talking about it right now. I mean, Val Kilmer's got a new movie coming out. He died last year. His family said it was okay. They helped in the recreation of this film. It's a personal film to him. So there's an emotional attachment of why they wanted to complete this film. But this emotional attachment, this is how you get people weakened about what's happening around. You get them emotionally, right? Because what happens when someone's emotional? When they're very emotional, they make irrational decisions. So this is part an emotional connection to cinema using AI. And it's 50-50. People are saying, yeah, it's okay. They gave permission. It's his likeness. He can do whatever he wants. If his family says it's okay, right? Now, now we start looking at exploitation. A family that just gives the okay because they want the money that they're gonna get. Now the actor is gone, he can't defend himself, but the family, and we've seen what happens with money and families after a celebrity dies. You can look at the Casey Kasem case. You can look at other situations in life. In The Jimi Hendrix estate was controlled by some people. The Marvin Gaye estate had some battles in court. Um, so there's a lot of estates, celebrities that don't have their act together because it wasn't a thing that was needed, and now they're gone and they can't defend themselves. You don't know what their opinions are, but their families control their estates and they can use their likeness to whatever they want. And there's a certain integrity there that I think is really, really sad. And I know it's going to happen in the future. I know that this is going to be really, really a disgrace to some people. So I hope that actors like Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, all these legendary older actors that are in their 80s, they find some way to protect themselves, with this AI thing, because it's a very, very scary thing, and make sure that their families are in check, and make sure that there's a certain level of integrity, and that there's certain things written down. And even the actor can, while they're alive, can make videos. And well, I mean, I guess you can use AI for video now. Oh God, what a mess. What a mess. But I mean, looking ahead, this could be the beginning of a new era where actors' likenesses become part of their estates, almost like intellectual property that can be licensed, extended, or reimagined long after they're gone. And that is what I was just saying. That's what it's gonna come to, right? That creates opportunity, families preserving legacies, filmmakers telling stories that would otherwise be impossible, but also risk, especially if boundaries aren't clearly defined. The Val Kilmer situation feels like a test case, a respectful, consent driven use of AI that still sparks debate. And like most turning points in film history, it's not about whether this will continue, it's about how responsibly, creatively, and ethically the industry chooses to move forward. Well, we all know the industry. We all know people are greedy. People in film. I mean, look what happened in California, right? Hollywood's been demolished, right, because of people's emotional emotions. Storytelling became so emotional in not the story itself, but in how the story is told, right? They put in all these guidelines of how you have to tell a story, that they ruined storytelling. So now Hollywood is backpedaling, trying to figure it out. They're trying to have incentives. Production is down. No one is working. Lots are empty. Other production houses across the country are opening up and taking over a lot of that, of a lot of that, the shared pie that California pretty much had control over. Hollywood meaning other countries are benefiting from this as well, and that's where you get really um, the clear example. You don't have to take my word for it. Look at the last 10 years of filmmaking in Hollywood, in particular, just in Hollywood itself. The emotions that people put behind it. The Snow White, the movie Snow White, there was emotion behind not the story. I'm not talking about the story. I'm talking about how the story was told. They decided to remove the man, and woman don't mean no man. And that's a very, very woke thing. And what happens when you go woke? You go broke. And now they're learning the lesson. Now they're trying to backpedal, right? Look at what happened with the new Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Apparently it was a new thing, and it tanked. It was so woke. They made the Klingons emotion. I mean, they messed it up. They messed it up, and rightfully so. I mean, look at, they got canceled, and season two has not even been released. So it was like so embarrassing. They got canceled before, and we knew it was going to happen. Um, it's just not working when emotions get in before the story has to be emotional, right? We're not talking about storytelling. We're talking about this other layer that gets put on top of storytelling and creativity that has to be matched before you can tell the story. And this story has to be shifted. This story has to be told the way they want it to be told. And they put this umbrella, my cat is meowing. They put this umbrella over the story itself, and they can't shy away from it. So the original story that was being told now has been shifted, has been pulled around, has been made and molded into something that they want it told this way. You have to have the right level of color in it, the right level of ideologies have to be in it, and so now the story that was this original story now has got crushed down here, right? That's what happens with emotions, and this Val Kilmer situation is emotional. So people are going to be battling this for years to come. What I think is going to happen is what I said here earlier. Likenesses of a person is going to be just as important. When you sign that contract, new contracts, I'm sure, are being written across the boards for SAG, AFTRA, for any actors that are actually working in any production. New contracts have to be written out because lawyers now are, and actors and talent agencies are fully aware that this now is the future. And this Val Kilmer situation, I think, is huge. And I don't think people realize how huge it's going to be in the next few years. This is going to set a precedent for future generations. Right now, actually, this is going to be the foundation, basically, where people are going to look at on how this was done. Why? Because one, the actor wanted it. It was an emotional project that they wanted to do. Two, the family were involved. These two things are major. The family is involved. This is where what I was just saying. It's about responsibility, creativity, and ethically the industry chooses to move forward. These things are important. Responsible, ethically, and creatively. How are these things going to be put together in this system where these actors are going to be able to move forward with their careers after they're physically gone and spiritually gone, right? Because it's a computer, there's no spirit there, right? But there's enough work to fool people into thinking that, and we don't know. We don't know. This Val Kilmer film is not out yet. I'm very, very interested in seeing it. I will definitely watch it. I know people are like, well, I'm not watching that. I'm not supporting it. You have, if you're in film, you have to watch it because you got to educate yourself on whether it's good or not. If it's really, really good, then you're going to have to be like, whoa, now what? Right? Ask yourself the question. But if you don't know anything about it, you have to, if you're in film, if you love movies, if you love storytelling, you have to figure out, you have to research and get involved in all the technologies and everything that's coming up the pipeline because it's part of the art. And and why not be ahead of the curve so at least you know about it rather than be just someone who's just not. I know people right now that stop making films because of digital. They only want to use film, but it's expensive to use film, and now they're not making any films at all. Is that the greater good? Don't create? No. Get the technology, find out about it, and then find out how it can be created ethically, emotionally, and and creatively, where it'll last a lifetime. And then we can look at it and we can say, okay, somebody wants to make a film with, somebody, with Marlon Brando, a young Mount Marlon Brando in a new film. Well, there's a lot of work on. There's a lot of not a great deal, but there's a lot of work on with Marlon Brando that's out there, going all the way from the '50s films that he did to The Godfather and a few others after that. There's a lot of material there that you can pull from. You see what I'm saying? So, is it going to be ethically? Does the Marlon Brando estate even have any awareness? I mean, I don't even know. I don't know enough about Marlon Brando's family to know, is there sons? Are there daughters? Is any who owns that? Can somebody just take that copyright and just take their likeness? Can somebody take Charlie Chaplin? Can somebody take Buster Keaton and just take their likenesses? Because who owns it? I mean, I think Charlie Chaplin has a pretty big estate still, and Buster Keaton as well. But there's other smaller ones that you probably don't. I look at people like the Three Stooges. I look at the Marx Brothers. Abbott and Costello. All these legendary, that started back in the silent era, and then from the early talkies. their likenesses. Who owns them? Who owns it? Is there an estate that's powerful? I know that the Three Stooges didn't end their career strong. Their lives, they were pretty broke at the end of their careers. Which is tragic back in those days. The system just took advantage of these guys. Um, but that's part of the whole dilemma that we're going into right now. And I think SAG after, and I think Fran Drescher, I think she's doing an amazing job. She's very knowledgeable about what's happening. She fights for the members, the SAG members. It's great to have her there. And there's others that are working with her as well that are really on top of it. And I think we have to support these organizations so we don't get abused. That's why unions exist. Unions exist to protect the individual from these big giant corporations and these big giant production companies to just do whatever they want. Well, we need to protect the actor. We need to protect the performance. I think the future is going to be very bright. I think that um, live interaction is coming back. I think people are getting a little tired of their phones. I'm glad that this AI thing, I'm glad that they blew it and that they started just the novelty of it went away really fast. I said it was going to go away. I said it like a year ago, and and I knew it was going to happen because people are just going to be bored, and they don't even know what to look for right now. What is this, real? Is this AI? What is this? And they look at it and it gives them a little giggle and they walk away. Is it a tangible emotion? Is it financially uh, uh, meaningful? Is there something behind it that's tangible that somebody can take away with them, or does somebody want to pay for that? No, nobody's paying for it. That's why it tanked. That's why Sora just pulled the plug on everything, and now Sora is dead. And how big it was huge for about a minute. It was huge, right? So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This whole thing is going to be a very interesting thing that we're looking forward to seeing how it expands and how it grows when we're committed to it and we want to actually spend time, making films and telling stories and using the technology that we have. I mean, I use AI. I don't use it for performances, but AI is going to have its place, and AI films I feel are going to be a genre of film. They're going to have their own genre of film. It's going to be like the AI film, and they'll probably be given awards. I think there's a couple of them already nominated for stuff. But I think they'll be put into a separate category, AI category. Maybe they'll even be given Academy Awards at some point. Of course, the Academy Awards, unfortunately, in the last 10 years, because of woke stuff, they've gone really down and the numbers are down. Nobody's watched it. The last one was so low. The numbers were so low. It was sad. Sad for me because I don't like wokeness, but I love the Oscars and I love film. I want Hollywood to boom. I want Hollywood to make it again and to be successful and to be. It's our history, right? It's the history of film. Is there in Hollywood? So why would I want it to go away? I want it to keep that romance of film, right? So romantic to think of Hollywood and that. So I wanted to, and I want the shows. If people can just go there and accept their award and say thank you to that and to God and thank you to their managers and agents and then talk about the project and the process of filmmaking. I think that's a wonderful thing. There are actors that do it, and some actors decide to go the other way, which I think cheapens the whole art because it's not really about film, it's about personal ideologies. That's a whole show, right, folks? All right, friends. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all so much. I will be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Central here on the show. Again, you can watch this on LinkedIn, YouTube, Rumble, and behind the scenes on my TikTok channel if you guys want to check me out on TikTok as well. All right, friends, thank you so much. God bless you all. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I will see you tomorrow morning. And as always,